Everyone, and welcome back to Bronco Wild Outdoors. All right, so you've seen some of the videos right here on our channel or over on Instagram that we went to Corolla Beach actually a couple times in the last about a month or so. And I got to thinking, you know, the first time we went, there was a lot of wind and blowing sand. You could actually see the sand blowing across. And so I knew we were getting some up to the grill of the Bronco. He had it on the hood, so why not in the grill here? And if you notice, other than my tools here, the Bronco gets its air to the air box through the grill here, the space between the hood and the grill, and through here, and it travels through here, and it goes into the air box. And by the way, I keep talking about this, we'll see this in a minute. There is a trap door down here. If you ever get a gulp of water right here, most of the water will go through the trap door and into the engine bay and not into the air box, and you don't want to cause hydro locking in the engine, so let's keep it out of the engine. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the air filter out and look at it and see, based on those two trips, one with a lot of wind and another when we were just having a really good time, we're going to see if there's any sand in the air filter or the air box. I call it the filter box, and I think they just call it the air box, whatever, but right here, and this is where our air filter is. And by the way, the Everglades Bronco has the snorkel that comes down here, hops across the mirror, comes over, and actually is cut through the fender. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully Ford will have one at Super Celebration East, so that I can see how they ducted here. It may go over and into the air box. I'm sure they didn't change this location, but we'll see on that. Anyway, back to this video. So let's go ahead and take these 4 bolts. I think that one's all the way out. Sometimes you don't know until you try to lift it off. Okay, so if you want to do this the hard way, you can actually try to lift this up and get the filter out, and it's just a little tight when you do that. Or you can take this plastic pin out right here that actually holds this inlet to the air box. It actually holds it right here. Now what you'll do, you will take, and I hope I'm doing this right, you'll take a flathead screwdriver, and right down here, Becky can show you, there's a slot right here. You slide the screwdriver in there and simply give it a turn, and that pops it up, and this comes out. Now what this does, like a little wedge, and you could probably leave it down in there and it will just come out. What it does is it actually spreads out a piece of plastic in there. We'll leave that in there, or a blooper or whatever, but it came out. And like I said, you can leave that in there. It's not a big deal. So what do we have now? Now I predicted one's going to be grabbing, right? And I was wrong. It comes right off. So you can see this lifts right off, and here we go. And so this is what it looks like. And by the way, this trap door I keep talking about, there it is right there. It's actually pretty cool. So gravity just kind of holds it in place. And if the water ever goes in the inlet, the weight of the water will open the door. And it doesn't matter if a little bit of air goes here. The reason why you want the air to enter here, first of all, it's a big enough space for it. The other thing is cooler. The air coming in through the grill is going to be cooler than the air in the engine bay. So hot, dirty air in the engine bay is not what we want. We want cooler, clean air out here. But yeah, it's kind of cool. You can see in there. Probably see me in there. All right, so on the back side, I have no idea why these little ribs are in here. It is either to give this big part here support, or it might have something to do with airflow. We're going to have a video on snorkels where I would highly suggest turning vanes in them, I think, in the design, and this could be something to do with that. So let's put this over here on the horse saddles. All right, so Becky, look at this. So here is our air filter. It's interesting. We're starting to get a little bit of, waviness in the filter here. I don't think that is the way they come, but it's interesting. There's a little bit of stuff on it. But the biggest,
not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad at all. The biggest thing is, do we have sand in there? And of course, our lighting is not the best right now for this. Oh yeah, and we have sand in there.
Oh.
Yeah, we have sand in there. So the filter actually is kind of just wedged into place, and it's like a rubbery foam type material here. And if we look in the filter, we have 4,400 miles on this Bronco. We are already starting to get just a little bit of stuff in here, but not bad at all.
So how often should you change an air filter in a vehicle?
So I don't know the recommended on the Bronco, the mileage intervals, but I always say it depends on your use. So if you're using it to drive on the road back and forth to work, it's going to last longer than when you're out wheeling.
Right.
It's dusty in the sand. I would just say it's one of those things like I'm doing here. I'm checking after 2 trips to gauge it. I don't check it after every trip unless there was a lot of dirt. If there was a lot of dust that day flying, I'm just going to go ahead and change it. For the expense versus you remember you have turbos on this engine. Anything large particles, and we're not talking about stuff that's floating in there. We're talking about big chunks of stuff that would make it past this will end up in the compressor on the turbo, and that's not what we want. So it just sounds horrible when you say it that way, but it's the truth. So you want to make sure the filter stays clean and it's in good shape. I would keep an eye on this wavy part here. You know, that's kind of more what I would expect there. Not that, it's not a big deal, right?
This was the top part.
This was the top.
That we saw.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it went in just like that.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep an eye on that, and you can see Fomoco written on there. All right, so let's look at the sand. We have a,
Ooh,
okay.
There's a big bug.
All right, so there's the wing of a bug. It saw better days.
Ooh.
So there's a weep hole right here in the bottom of the airbox. So in the event you ever get a gulp of water past the trap door and into here, as long as you're not gassing it too hard, it will drain out. I think when you change your air filter, if you change it, if the dealer changes it, I'm sure they'll check. Just make sure there's nothing stuck in that hole, debris. I did have a piece of a bug stuck in it, believe it or not. And it probably would have drained water out, but it was there. So make sure that weep hole is cleaned out, and let's just reinstall the air filter. So we have some bad lighting here right now. So let me show you. So we know the air filter is back in place because basically it wedges in on this end right here. And then you just want to make sure that this is sealed all the way around here. There again, like in all of my videos, I don't recommend you do your engine work yourself. Take it to the dealer or some mechanic, but I'm just showing you what I am doing to keep the air filter checked. And I just wanted to know, after those 2 trips to the beach, especially like I said earlier with the blowing sand, how much did we actually get in there? There was a little bit of sand in there, but not much. Not compared to what we had airborne. So I'm actually pretty impressed with the lack of sand that got into the airbox. Nothing was past the filter. Everything inside the filter and into the inlet to the turbos here was spotless. So air filter is doing what it's supposed to do, and I'm going to keep an eye on it, and let's put it back together. Make sure this gasket on here is good, and we are good to go. I always like staggering whenever I'm putting something back together. I like staggering the tension on the bolts instead of doing all on one side and then the other. I kind of like to do an X pattern. Might not matter. Maybe it does matter. I know it does on a wheel. A flywheel, a rim, An air box? I'm not so sure. So I'm actually pretty pleased with the air filter so far. Had you been there, and don't worry, that was this part. Had you been there, you would have seen that sand in the air. I was just visualizing what was going in. Not a big deal. So basically now I'm not going to worry about it. Reattach this plastic wedge here. Now we're back in. Our trap door is in place, and that is the process of examining the air filter. Of course, if I was going to change it, I'd do exactly what I just did, except new filter would go in. And there again, I'm happy with it. It's looking good. You know, if most of this is done in vehicle maintenance when you take it to the dealer or whoever you take it to for general maintenance. But this is just what I do, and just like keeping an eye on it, making sure. And you know, every once in a while I like to look around, make sure everything is good to go. Battery cables are tight. That was an issue here and there. Everything looks good, it runs good, it drives good, we still love it, and that's it for this video. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. That does wonders here on YouTube, and they like spreading it to other people that are watching Bronco content, off-road vehicle content, and just general vehicle maintenance. So I appreciate you watching. I'm Dwayne, and I'm out. See you.